Hi guys, Simon Refalo here. Today I'm going to talk about my musical journey. I don't really get to talk about my own personal journey and what I've learnt, the mistakes I've made and some of the things that I've got to experience. But since we've had this time, through the lockdown and the last few weeks, I've just really had a chance to put up more videos, and I'm just going to really keep working on this YouTube channel. So yeah, I'm going to share my journey today, starting from the early years. So as far as I can remember, as long as I've been, a little boy, music has always been in my household at home. I remember my mum playing music, playing albums when I was little, and she'd be doing the housework and she'd be singing, the top of her lungs and cranking the music. I remember it being really loud, and it must have had an impact on me. So my first instrument, I believe, were drums. I vaguely remember me hitting buckets in the backyard. And there is actually a couple of pictures of me with a little drum kit that my parents bought me. I don't have much of a memory of that, but there's photos. And so music was really around, and my mum really loved music, and my dad also loved music. And yeah, and it was just a great environment to really grow up in those little years, in those toddler years, and when I was a little boy. And then also thinking about, when I was, maybe 10 or 11, I remember hanging with my cousin, and we used to play In Excess, the Australian band In Excess, and it was a really, just remember the songs just really impacted me. And I remember writing a song. Me and my cousin wrote a song together, and I still remember the song today. And I was talking to him about it recently, and I can't believe I can still remember this song. It's quite funny. Now, every family member needs a cool uncle, and I had a really, really cool uncle. And I remember when I was maybe 11 or 12, I said to my uncle, what albums have you got? Now, this is back in the day when we had cassettes and vinyl, no CDs, no MP3s, none of that. And they sounded great. I loved the stereo systems that we used to have, the big old stereo systems, the needle, the scratches, and the sound of a record player was fantastic. And I said, Uncle, what albums have you got? So he took me over to his place and he showed me 2 albums. He gave me The Angels, the Australian band The Angels, No Exit. I thought, yeah, it looks pretty cool. And he also gave me the album that changed my life. I took home a black album, and it had AC/DC written on it, Back in Black. And I remember playing that album, and I remember hearing the bells of Hell's Bells, obviously, and then the first riff. And it changed my life. The sound, and I had headphones on, big cans, big old school headphones, and I remember hearing the guitars in my left, Malcolm's guitar and then Angus's guitar, and I didn't know anything about this band. I was a young, impressionable pre-teen listening to the thunderous riffs of Back in Black, Hell's Bells, and that whole album, and I was hooked. I was blown away. I couldn't believe the power of the guitars and the drums and the mix and just the whole production. And that album is still one of the greatest sounding albums. So that was the album that made me want to play guitar. That Angus Young, I was just like, I wanted to be Angus. I was infatuated. I looked at the album covers. And this is back in the day when bands were a bit more mysterious. There was a mystique about bands. We didn't have YouTube and we didn't have social media. So these bands were like this distant kind of, figures that we really didn't know a lot about. But I was lured into it, and I was sold, and I just wanted to play electric guitar just like Angus. So Back in Black changed my life. Angus Young changed my life. So my earliest memories of me playing guitar were when I was at my nana's house, and I would pick up this nylon string guitar and I would just play notes, and I didn't know what I was doing, but it felt good. And my dad noticed that I really enjoyed it, and he said, son, do you want guitar lessons? Now I was 12, 13 at the time, and I was painfully shy. I wasn't an outgoing kid. I was pretty quiet, didn't have much of a self-esteem at the time. So I said to Dad, only if it's one-to-one lessons. I don't want group lessons, only if it's like me and a teacher. So he organized a local guitar teacher in our area. And I remember going to my first lesson with my acoustic guitar and a plectrum in my mouth. I didn't even want to say hi to this teacher. I was nervous. I was scared. But that first lesson was really the start of a passion that still burns within me now to keep playing guitar and to keep getting better. And I remember learning just how to play basic notes. I think the first lesson, which was like half an hour or 45 minutes, I learned Happy Birthday. Now, it might seem, that's such a simple song, but hearing yourself play Happy Birthday on a guitar, playing those notes, changed my life. It was just profound, and I was hooked, and I just wanted to keep learning. So I just loved it. So I went to lessons every week, and I just picked it up and I practiced. And my teacher was awesome because he would teach me, theory, and he would teach me classical playing, and which I really loved. But he also taught me the things I wanted to learn. So there'd be one day I'd be learning a classical piece, and the next day I'm learning Back in Black AC/DC. So it was fun because I was learning, the history of guitar, Spanish guitar and classical guitar, but I was also learning modern guitar, and I was practicing, and I loved it, and I just really loved it. I'd come home and I'd just pick up my guitar and I'd play in the morning, and it was just an incredible learning, rich experience in those early years, 13, 14 and 15. And I just want to encourage parents out there. My parents were so encouraging in music, which really changed my life, and it really helped me get into what I did later on in my life. But they were so encouraging. They paid for my lessons. Obviously, they paid for guitar in the future when I got my first electric. And then, when I was about 16, my dad bought me a Marshall amp, like a JCM 800 half stack, and I was blown away. It was very expensive, but they believed in me. And then sometimes I do hear parents, when they have creative children, and they kind of steer them away from it because it's not stable, or it's not, get a real job kind of mentality. But, sometimes kids are very creative, and they can pursue it if they want to pursue it, and they have the skill and the passion. So parents, you have a big part to play in, molding your children, especially creative kids who really like art or music or anything creative. Steer them, encourage them. And I really owe it to my parents who paved the way for me. So those first few years, I did a lot of practicing. And then by 16, I was actually teaching guitar. I was teaching at the place where I was getting lessons. The teacher hired me. And it was really strange because I would be teaching people who were playing much, much longer than me. And it was strange, but they liked it. They liked the lessons. They didn't think, who's this 16-year-old punk? They knew that I was a hard worker and I practiced. And I do want to say another thing about practicing and talent. Talent is overrated. You can be extremely talented, or potential, I suppose, but you've got to put the work in. And you can be gifted, but if you sit on that gift and are lazy, then you're not going to get anywhere. So, for me, it felt natural when I played, but I also put the work and I learnt my scales, I learnt my chords, I practiced hours for a long time. And so those early years, my teenage years, I would join bands, and it was a lot of fun. These are the days where it wasn't pop music. Right now we're in kind of a pop music generation. It was rock and it was blues. We were in bands. We played in garages. So I played in our parents' garage. So we'd have, the drums, the bass, the guitars, and we were loud. But my parents were awesome. My mum would make chocolate cake and bring it in and feed it to the boys. And we still talk about that today, actually, one of my friends. But that, I don't even hear that anymore. I miss those days. You walk down the street now, you don't hear any kids playing in garages anymore. There's no garage bands anymore. It's really sad. But they were really awesome years, those teenage years. So I joined some bands, and I really wanted to be I wanted to be a guitarist. I wanted to be a musician. So those years, from 13 to 17 were the foundation years, and I learned a lot of theory, and I love theory of music. And that really helped me, launched me into learning complexities of music, and so yeah, it was a great time. So a really big turning point in my life was when I was 18, and I met my girlfriend at the time and my wife now, and we started going to Inspire Church, which was called Liverpool Christian Life Centre back then. And I was relatively new in my faith, and this church was the music was powerful. The music was amazing, and I was a musician. I was pretty established as a guitarist. And I walked in, and I remember seeing the band, and there was a left-handed guitarist because I was left-handed, and he had long hair, and I just felt like, I fit in here. I feel home here. So the next, that really launched me into, what I do even today to a point. But that, when I came to that church, didn't take long before I got involved in music. And I was just playing acoustic guitar in some small groups, and then kind of word got out, and then I remember playing in one of the productions, and I did like a bit of a guitar thing, and it kind of just opened up things for me, and it was an amazing experience playing in this church where music was a big focus, and I learnt just so many things. So from 19, my age 19 to now, I've learned just so many things. So I'm just kind of going back. I remember, playing, and then I started writing songs. That's when my songwriting really took shape, because before that I was a guitarist and I was writing instrumental guitar music. And then when I was in the church, I started writing songs. It was in our youth group, and then we started recording. It was back in the day, and I was already recording a few things on a 4-track, so I was aware of the basics of recording. But through playing in our ministry and recording and writing, I was really learning how to record. And so we would record some youth songs, and those youth songs kind of got out there, and then somehow I was also playing with other bigger churches. And I remember playing with Youth Alive, and then all of a sudden I'm playing on their albums, and they've got all these awesome musicians and budgets and all that. I'm going, wow, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden we're touring, and so I got to tour overseas in Europe a couple of times, and that was just phenomenal. And so I learnt so much about playing music in this environment where there was a lot of encouragement, and I learnt leadership. I learnt how to music direct. I was a music director, so I had to learn how to lead a team, lead a band, not just head down and play my guitar, but I also learned what the drummer was doing and what the bass player was doing, and how to work with the keyboards, and had to learn my leadership. And so my confidence was growing, and I felt really, it was a calling, I suppose, for me to do music and ministry. And that was my journey. It was, something that I was being led into divinely, which was pretty awesome. So I served, from 20 to like 30. I was just a volunteer in my church, but just so many opportunities and so many things opened up for me. And I just kept on turning up, kept on practicing, learning songs. And then for the next 10 years or so, from 30 to late 30s, I actually was a paid music. I was paid to do music and ministry. I was on the worship team as it's called as a worship pastor or a music pastor. So I was professionally really doing music and ministry, and it was pretty amazing. And I really count those formative years to launch me to that, and there's so many lessons I learned, just attitude, having a good attitude, consistently showing up, being on time, being prepared, practicing, learning the songs well, not being sloppy in your work. It was diligent work. And that launched me from 30 to 40, end of 30s to lead a team and to lead with some other amazing leaders. And they were probably the best 10 years, where I got to do so many things, conferences and productions, playing every week, to large, church gatherings. And this may not be your journey. You may not, go to church. You may think, what's he talking about church for? But this is my journey. And this is what was powerful for me. And I loved it. And I continue to this day. I'm not full-time anymore on staff, but I still serve at my church, and I'm not on every week these days, but I'm still part of the team and I love playing. But from when I was on staff, they were incredible years of growth as a leader. I learnt, not just to play guitar, but I learned as a songwriter and engineering, recording, writing, deadlines, pressure. Every year we needed an album, a youth album or something, so I had to handle pressure, but it was fantastic, and I really loved those years, and I think fondly of those years. My hair was longer, but I really enjoyed it. So after the 10 years that I worked at Inspire Church, from when I was in my 30s to just turning 40, then a new season opened up for me. Professionally, I changed careers. I went to something different. I went to therapy and to counseling, which I still do this day. And my music, I still play in the team. I still play at Inspire. But it kind of freed me up. It gave me some more space. And I felt I needed to go back to the guitar, the instrumental guitar, the thing where it kind of all started for me. And so I went back to an early song that I wrote when I was about 14 or 15, and I had this song and I recorded it, and I've always remembered the melody and I always remembered the chord progression, from 13, 14 to now, a couple of decades later. And I thought, I'm going to go back and record this song properly. So that's when the love of instrumental music and the energy and the passion came back to me. I thought, I've got the time to do this now, and I can pursue it. So I recorded this song, and it was called Tears, and it's released on Spotify. And then I thought, I'm just going to start now recording instrumental guitar. Back in the early days, I recorded a solo album. I just forgot about that in my 30s. I recorded like a worship kind of guitar album. And it was cool. It had some good songs on it, but Spanish Odyssey was birthed out of that, and that seems to be a real favorite for people. So then, fast forward the clock, I thought, I'm going to do a Spanish Odyssey 2. So I recorded Spanish Odyssey 2, and I just started releasing instrumental songs. There was no albums to do. There was no real big budgets, but the pressure was off. I could just do it whenever I wanted. I had a job. So that was all happening. So I could just play guitar and write music and do instrumental music. And to this day, that's kind of what I'm pursuing. I just love instrumental music. And I love singing, obviously, and I sing. And I love working with great singers. But I find my voice is in the guitar. The melodies that I play on the acoustic or the electric, I just find I can sing. The power comes through the melodies that I play on guitar. So that's kind of the future now for me. I'm just going to release songs or release instrumentals when I want to, when they're done, and there could be one a year, could be a couple a year, I might throw more out there. So my focus right now is it's a lot of things have kind of opening up just in time for me. But I'm going to really focus on the guitar. I'm going to focus on YouTube. I'm going to focus on, just putting videos out there of me playing. I want to really give back. I want to teach also, and just do some lessons online, whatever it's going to look like. But I just want to really, it's an easy way to do it. You just, play some videos and share it, and that's what I want to do. Music for me has been a gift given to me, and I've always felt to share that gift. And there was a period of time where I was tired and I kind of stopped. I actually did a gig a couple of years ago. It was my first kind of solo gig for a long time. I did a couple of solo gigs in my 30s, but it's been like 10 years, and I did this gig, and it was a wonderful gig. It was just a one-off gig. I just to do one gig in this beautiful farmhouse, and I had this young band also come up and play, good friends of mine. And I loved it. It was a beautiful time of just me playing instrumental music to my friends and family and anyone who wanted to come along. And then after that gig, actually, I just think about it now, after that gig, I stopped playing. I actually just thought, I need to have a break from playing guitar. It was kind of like tick. That gig was a big tick for me. So I didn't play guitar for about 6 or 7 months. I may have picked it up here and there. I think I was still playing at church, but actually practicing and putting the work in, I just didn't do it. And I was in my career at the time doing therapy and counseling, so my head was in there. But these days, kind of the energies and the passions come back with force, and I've just got space in my life to do this. So I'm really looking forward to giving back again and just sharing music. I can't live off the royalties of the streams that I get, the 2 streams that I get from instrumental music. I know it's not, not everyone listens to guitar music. It's not everyone's choice, but there are people who do enjoy it. So I'm just going to do what I love doing. And I think that's the beauty of life. If you can do something that you enjoy and that it benefits others, it helps others, it puts a smile on other people's face, go ahead and do it. For me, it's music. So why should I keep that to myself? And there was a period of time where I actually thought, I'm just going to play guitar in my bedroom. I'm not going to really release anything. I'm just going to do it for myself. And I don't know, at the time, maybe I was a bit tired of everything and I needed a break, but that didn't last long. And I thought, what? I remember hearing someone say, share your gift. And I thought, what? It's been given to me. I didn't come up with this. Obviously I practiced, but I believe it was, divinely inspired. Music, like we all have a gift. Everyone has a gift, and that's my gift. So I'm going to share it. So the work I'm going to do now is I'm going to do YouTube clips and put things on Facebook, guitar stuff. I'm going to teach. I'm going to do some live streams, live Facebook, whatever. Just have fun, and there's going to be no pressure. I'll want to be consistent with it. So yeah, so it's kind of that's been my journey, guys. It's been very, very rewarding, very rich experience. I've met so many great people. Can I encourage you out there, guys? If you are practicing, if you love music, you're in ministry or you're in a band, just practice a lot. Like put the work in. These days we get distracted by our smartphones, or young people like gaming and all that. That's cool, but if you love music, devote the time to it. Take your phone away and just practice. Put the work in. Practice hard, and have a good attitude. Treat people well. I think that's what's helped me also. I've generally wanted to treat people well and be nice to people, and that opens up doors for you. No one wants to work with a jerk. You've got to get along with people. So it's important. So yeah, I'm excited just about sharing whoever wants to listen. So so if you enjoyed this, journey, please subscribe to the channel. Check out my Facebook page and my Instagram page also, and leave some comments. Tell me what you kind of want to hear, what music you'd like me to play, or what lessons, or I'm going to share kind of like riffs of the week. That'd be something I'd like to do also. So yeah, leave a comment, drop a comment below, and make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. See ya.